All right, good morning. We're picking up Bible study number 21. We're picking up on the Pentateuch. We do have a couple prayers here. I'll save the Lord's Prayer for the end, as always. And we have another prayer here. So they're just kind of switched up. I want to do two prayers, one at the beginning, one at the end, but the first one, I'm probably going to switch it up. So this last one, I do the Lord's Prayer. Everybody should know that one, or can rehearse the modernized version of it. And we can go plug that in right here. Sorry, I thought I already had that plugged in, but we can go ahead and read it right now. So no need to wait. All right, so the first prayer for the morning. Lord, my God, I thank you for this new and beautiful morning. When I face different trials in life, I ask that you grant me strength, wisdom, and faith to overcome my weaknesses and remain faithful to you. I know that your plan is perfect, even when I cannot always understand it right away. Teach me to wait for your timing with firmness and patience, and to obey your will with all my heart. Lord, I surrender this day to you. I also place my family in your hands. Watch over them with your infinite love. Amen. And then just trying to learn some Spanish right here. So for anybody who speaks Spanish, you're going to make fun of me for not doing this right. But this is a prayer from my mom. So she emails me some every once in a while, and sometimes they're pretty decent. So just like to be able to share that with you guys too. So she really likes it, and so figure somebody out there might hit home for you, or you might like it as well. So here's the Spanish version again. Forgive me if I totally butcher this, but says, Señor, mi Dios, te doy gracias por esta nueva y hermosa mañana. Cuando enfrente diversas pruebas en la vida, te pido que me concedas fuerzas, sabiduría y fe para superar mis debilidades y seguir siendo fiel a ti. Sé que tu plan es perfecto, aunque no siempre pueda entenderlo de inmediato. Enséñame a esperar tu tiempo con firmeza y paciencia, y a obedecer tu voluntad de todo corazón. Corazón, another one. Señor, another one too. Anyway. Señor, te entrego esta día. También pongo en tus manos a mi familia. Excuse me. Cuídalos con tu infinito amor. Amen. All right, nice. Let's go ahead and break it up. So if you guys are reading the description, I can go ahead and just have a little more organized here. Here, I can do this at the end of the video, so don't want to hold you guys up. Only have a limited time to do this anyway. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and pick up on the Pentateuch. So this is restarting the page numbers. This is page 1 again. All right. So let me get a little lighter. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Here we go. Let there be light. All right, we have the Pentateuch. The Pentateuch, Greek for 5 books. Ooh, penta, 5. Teuch, books like teach. Okay. Designates the first 5 books of the Jewish and Christian Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Jewish tradition calls the 5 books Torah, or teaching law, law teaching, or teaching law, because of the centrality of the Sinai covenant and legislation mediated through Moses. The unity of the Pentateuch comes from the single story it tells. God creates the world and destines human beings for the blessings of progeny and land possession. As the human race expands, its evil conduct provokes God to send the flood to wipe out all but righteous Noah's family. After the flood, the world is repopulated from his three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. From them are descended the 70 nations of the civilized world whose offense this time, building a city rather than taking their assigned lands, provokes God to elect one family from the rest. Abraham and his wife Sarah, landless and childless, are promised a child and the land of Canaan. Amid trials and fresh promises, a son, Isaac, is born to them, and Abraham takes title to a sliver of Canaanite land, a kind of down payment for later possession. Genesis 25 to 36 tells how their descendant Jacob becomes the father of 12 sons, because of which he is called Israel. And Genesis 37 through 50 tells how the rejected brother Joseph saves the family from famine and brings them to Egypt. So let's break that down. Just real quick, couple notes I was thinking of. So one, when it comes to Noah and the family and the flood, I'm kind of thinking that not a lot of people knew how to write, or I mean, maybe even Noah didn't know how to write, but like he could have had a lot of influence, or could have been like the sole survivor of a big flood or catastrophe that wiped out a lot of people, but probably not everybody, and most likely, definitely not everybody. And just a little side note: if only him and his family were left, was it like would the rest of humanity be born from incest? Anyway, that was just a side point. But yeah, I'm thinking that there was probably a wider population. There was a flood that happened in this little area, and this is the only thing Noah really knew of. Didn't know anybody else out here, and was only aware of this stuff going on in this little area of Earth. Like Earth's a big planet, probably only inhabiting this area, but this is what he could see, and so he's like, "Yeah, that's the whole world," and probably not true. So there's probably other people that were not affected, most likely, and it was like just his little area, like that just got flooded, like his city, like or like whatever area, and like all around everything that he could see was flooded, and I don't know, maybe some glaciers melted. Who knows? Maybe a comet or an asteroid struck and like melted some glaciers and stuff, and then their like ocean levels rose for a little bit and then went back down. But wasn't it? Was it? How long was it with that Noah's at sea? I don't know. I guess we'll get into that. We'll come back to this idea. And then what was it? The assigned lands. So their offense was apparently the second offense was building a city rather than taking their assigned lands. So I mean, humans naturally want to connect and want to be able to be unified and stuff like that. And they probably had some people in here that were like, no, we need to spread out and claim these lands. But other people would have been like, that's spreading resources too thin, and we have strength in numbers, and then we can. They were more interested in survival, while these other people were wanting to risk other people's lives, and in order to try to seize land. So they're being kind of greedy, and it was almost like Hitler did with the Third Reich, basically trying to expand too quickly and having a lot of people die and not being able to hold the ground that you have. And so people were probably smarter trying to build that city, and then people will say like, "Oh, like you're provoking God" and stuff like that. And yeah, it's probably they're probably just the lower class or other certain group of people that were maybe not lower class, but like certain people could have been higher class, could have been people that had a disagreement with the main group of people that were like saying, "Hey, we need to band together, build this city, survive, build some walls and stuff like that to protect ourselves from the wilderness and the wildlife and everything like that." And other people wanted to use those resources to go expand, and there's probably a disagreement, some sort of like politics going on there, but that's kind of what I can probably see most likely happened. Just a disagreement on whether we should stay here, band together for now, or just spread our resources too thin and go way out and try to venture out and conquer lands and stuff like that. 'Cause, yeah, I've already noticed, like, we're not even like this much into the book, and I've already noticed that Israel has a tendency to try to conquer and try to go out and slay people, take lands, and everything like that. And it just seems like, and then they also, on top of that, so they have like, it seems like they have like a very conquering, malicious intent. So malicious intent towards people that they disagree with. So they're not very diplomatic in the sense that they're not very cooperative. Like if you weren't with them, you were against them. If you were against them, they wanted you to die. And if they wanted you to die, they were gonna kill you. And once they did, they would label you as wicked or what do they call it? Impious and stuff like that, and just brand you as like something like a traitor or evil or whatever. And like they slap a bunch of labels on you. And the victors of war tend to rewrite history. And so I'm noticing a lot of that in here. So, not trying to speak ill of Jewish people now. Like, it's not like you guys that you don't have a part of it. It's kind of like the same argument where, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I was going to get into like how people like had slave owner and Confederate soldier, officer, general ancestors and stuff like that. And people blame people now. It's like, oh, you guys suck too because your ancestors did this. I'm like, dude, they have nothing to do with like what the people other people did. So don't be so simple minded. But essentially, like we have Jewish people now. I know Jewish people, they're cool. Like they're like for the most part, like they're pretty decent. They have different ways of like believing, they have different beliefs and stuff like that. But other than that, like when it comes to everything else, we have much more in common than we have that makes us different. Very intelligent for the most part. And I mean, you're gonna have a range when it comes to all kinds of different people. So you're gonna have like smart people, stupid people. You're gonna have rich people, poor people, like whatever culture. Like there's can't have a blanket statement for anybody, like any group of people or culture or religion. That again, that's simple-minded, short-sighted thinking as well. So you got to be reasonable. So yeah, like I'm not saying any of this to like speak ill of anybody who's like existing now. I'm just saying like these people who claim themselves to be Israelites, the Jews, and like God's people and stuff like that. They seem to have been pushing a lot of narratives and a lot of propaganda to try to support their causes when realistically what they're actually doing was barbaric as hell and very primitive and backwards. Kind of like the sacrifices and stuff like that. We don't do that anymore. People have evolved since then, but there's certain things that just kind of give me the ick. Like it's just like, ugh, like that's either horrible, that's dumb, or like again, we've definitely evolved and adapted since then, so that's good. We're making progress. So the world is much different now than it was, and so in our readings, we have to understand that the world has changed. So even though there's a lot of things in here uh, that that have we've made progress on, there's still a lot of progress to make. So. And the things that people did in the past shouldn't be attributed to the people that live contemporarily. So that's one big thing too. So I don't care if your daddy did it. I don't care if your brother did it. I don't care if your granddaddy, your grandmama, whoever, whatever ancestors, your great grand step, half uncle, whatever the fuck. Doesn't matter. Like unless you personally played a role in it, like you're not responsible for that shit. Anybody who says that you are, like tries to blame you, like it's like probably like the definition of I don't know if quite racism is it, but blank on the word. Why am I drawing a blank on the word? It's I don't know. You're holding on to something like vindication. You're vindictive. Like it's being vindictive. Like holding a vendetta that's completely frivolous and unnecessary. Oh man, that took a second. Okay, where were we? So just trying to like reanalyze so that way I'm not taking the Bible verbatim. Like I don't think anybody should take anything, especially when it comes to like the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. Like it's not to be taken verbatim. Like it's meant to be interpreted using what you know, you being a free thinker, an independent thinker, and being able to think for yourself, being able to take this and be like, all right, what's cool, what's true, what's bullshit, and being able to make your own interpretation from it. So there's a lot of things that are good in here. I'm not saying that it's all bullshit, but there's a lot of crap in here. Very, very crapola. And there are some good things in here. So like I've said before, there are a lot of good things that the church does. It brings people together. It helps, like there's strength in numbers. It gives people hope. It gives people motivation. It makes them productive and stuff like that. They feel connected, and that part's good. But it's only one tiny part of the bigger picture, and it's a lot of times it could be like a cult-like mentality, and that's what leads people astray sometimes. At least one facet of it, where people get closer together and have this tight-knit community, but then become like cliquish and cult-like, where they essentially get closer together, but in doing so they divide themselves more from the rest of the world around them, and they start to see themselves as like it's almost like this anthropocentric viewpoint where like, oh, humanity is the best, and then you start to get subcategories where it's like, oh, our group is the best, and anybody who disagrees with this is wrong or evil or whatnot, and they start to develop this hate and this resentment and this essentially just cult-like mentality. It's like David Koresh, Mike Jones, and like it's like, oh, our way is the way. They start to call themselves gods or the new messiahs, stuff like that, or like, I am spoken to by God, I'm a messenger of God, or like whatever. And they start to invoke like all this power and stuff like that to try to make themselves seem super special. And in doing so, they divide themselves from others, and it could eventually lead to them going out there hurting others and operating at others' expense, and that's a big problem. So we need to be able to unify everybody. If you want to say everybody is God's people, that's a better idea of thinking than only a certain people are God's people, like say the Jews or the Israelites saying that like, oh, we're God's people, and other people are enemies of God and stuff like that. That's not a good way of thinking. That's a horrible, corrupt way of thinking, and it's going to lead to constant wars, and it's going to lead to more conflict, and you're just going to be perpetuating the cycle when you're doing stuff like that. As soon as you start spreading hate and start disseminating information that implies that other people are enemies or wicked and stuff like that, then or evil, then you're going to basically start riling other people up, and it's going to make them want to hurt others, operate at others' expense, or even go so far as to kill them, and then find reasons to justify themselves in doing so. So I just have a very big problem with the way people of the past and the present. There are certain people in the present that they just operate in the way they speak and the narratives that they push is very, very dangerous, and it should not be acceptable, and we got to find ways to fix that. So it's just, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself verbatim. It doesn't repeat itself like identical to things that have happened in the past, but there's a quote by somebody that says it does rhyme. So it's very, very similar. You can notice certain patterns and certain things that are cyclical, things that keep on sort of coming up over and over again in history, just in sort of different forms, different faces, but genuinely the same behavior. So similar stories, just different characters. And we just got to be able to pay attention to the patterns. All right. So we got through the first two paragraphs. Here we go. The Pentateuch, we're kind of towards about 40% of the way through, just above halfway on the page. In Egypt, a pharaoh who knew not Joseph subjects. In Egypt, a pharaoh who knew not Joseph subjects the 70 sons of Jacob, the Hebrews, to hard labor, keeping them from their land and destroying their male progeny. Moses is commissioned to lead the people out of Egypt to their own land. In 10 plagues, the Lord defeats Pharaoh. Free the last, the Hebrews leave Egypt and journey to Mount Sinai. Again, we attributed a lot of things to back in the past, like weather, stuff like that. That was God or Zeus, Poseidon, stuff like that. Yeah, it was probably there's an explanation for those plagues and stuff like that. It's probably a bunch of like just a lot of people gathering, building cities and stuff like that. Could have not had the most sanitary environments. I think the Romans are the ones that built like aqueducts. I don't think the pharaohs in Egypt. I don't think they had like a lot of sewage and stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of things attracting maybe bugs or even building a lot of crops that would have attracted locusts. There's a lot of things that would have brought a lot of this stuff on. And it wasn't Pharaoh, it was probably the Pharaoh and Jewish people and other people living there that all contributed to causing there to be different plagues or whatnot. And I mean, obviously, people who wrote the books or people who wrote history are gonna be like, yeah, they did it, like trying to like point the finger at a scapegoat and or trying to just seek that confirmation bias to say like, oh yeah, we're good people, and then God hurt them because they're bad people and stuff like that. And God, that's dumb. It's just people were so just backwards, man. And I want to say that we have definitely made progress, but again, people are born generation after generation, seem to have to keep on relearning certain things. So you're going to still have a lot of people that are suckers and just basically believe certain things like, oh, their people are the best, or those people are bad, we're good, and everything like that. We're the heroes, they're the enemies, blah, blah, blah. Like now, everybody's got their own reasons for doing the things that they do. Everybody wants to survive, everybody wants to prosper, and we just got to make sure that we maximize our benefits at minimum expense of others. So let's not be assholes. Don't be an asshole and don't be a dumbass is rule number 1 and 2. All right. God, this book is so, I want to say annoying, but just it is difficult to read, just seeing how flawed people used to be. Got a lot of notes. See how flawed people still are. That's why I'm here, man. That's why I'm here. That's literally why we're here on this earth. All of us, but I know my purpose. I'm just hoping to be able to spread that to other people and enlighten them to be able to seek out their purpose to maximize benefits individually and nationally, internationally, just and maximize benefits for everyone at minimum expense. So just and being diplomatic too, not being a bunch of a-holes going around waging war and justifying it by claiming other people are evil and whatnot. It's like that's one thing that if you want to talk about cyclical patterns throughout history, the politics of it, that's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and that's just what we have recorded. But yeah, you can see it on the news still going on. Still got that pattern fucking going. It's almost like it's inherent in human nature. This one big giant flaw that constantly keeps people dying at their own hands. Self-inflicted wounds, man. It's basically like cutting yourself, but like on a human scale. Like the entire human civilization, if we're like one person, it's like you're just basically hurting yourself. Waging war, you're only doing damage to yourself. There's other ways of innovating. There's other ways of motivating. We just got to be able to find those. We got to work together, communicate, collaborate, compromise, coexist, not be complacent, not be stupid, but be open-minded, be intelligent, be thorough and diligent, and seek out better alternative solutions and keep on getting better and keep on improving until we reach perfection. And I was going to stop myself because like obviously like perfection probably isn't possible, at least not while we're in human form. And so we just keep on pursuing perfection. Pursuing perfection will be more accurate because in doing so we achieve greatness and we keep on getting greater and greater and greater. Standing on the shoulders of giants, we build upon them and then keep on improving and advancing society rather than tearing each other down. We're innovating and we're saving people when we're birthing people and we're making more people that can contribute, and that's building society up. And then for every person that we kill, that's basically putting society down. Any person that you lock up or any person that you cast away or excommunicate or whatever, that's basically taking society and moving it down. Like this whole thing is like basically just human potential, not only human, not thinking purely anthropocentrically here, but basically all of civilization, intelligent civilization, all of life that could, even other species that we see as less intelligent, could eventually evolve as long as we preserve them, could evolve just like we did to become more intelligent. And I just imagine our whole entire world and galaxy and universe becoming filled with all kinds of creatures millions of years from now that are essentially, like, we essentially look like the universe of Star Wars, where you have all these different species coming together to communicate and uh, exchange goods and services and products, and being able to just get together and immerse themselves in this cohesive society. And that's a goal, definitely a goal. And we're nowhere near that if we keep on attacking each other. Self-inflicted wounds, man. And it's not progress, it's regress. Gotta keep moving forward, and I'm here to expedite the fucking process. Sorry, pardon my just almost infuriates me just how backwards people still are. And so it's just something that we're definitely trying to improve, something we're trying to steer people away from, because it seems like through thousands of years of recorded human history, it seems like that it's almost ingrained or inherent in human nature. And I blame biology, I blame society for perpetuating the underlying biology that we have inside of us, which is to remove threats, to be able to improve survival and prosperity. But in doing so, well, not only just doing that, but in attacking other people and waging war and killing others, you're just perpetuating the cycle of war, aggression, and vindictive behaviors. So we got to nip it at the bud sometime, and to be able to stop the perpetual feedback loop from hell, what it is. So stop creating hell and start creating heaven by on earth by cooperating and working with each other, and realizing that if you want to believe in God, say that everyone's God's people. Like none of us are not God's people. We're all created with a purpose. We all have potential to be able to serve for the benefit of each other rather than the detriment of each other. All right, moving on. Free at last, the Hebrews leave Egypt and journey to Mount Sinai, where they enter into a covenant to be the people of the Lord, commit apostasy when Moses goes back to the mountain for the plans of the dwelling of the tabernacle. Moses' intercession prevents the abrogation of the covenant by God. A principle has been established, however, even the people's apostasy need not end their relationship with God. I think they're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, I think when Moses came back down, he discovered that people were making like idols to other gods, or like worshiping idols and stuff like that. I don't know if that was that the calf. I'm not sure. He was like up at a volcano somewhere, and then ended up coming down, or up at a mountain and came down, or something like that. But yeah, he discovered, essentially what he discovered is as people were doing things that he didn't want them to do. And is it wrong? Nobody knows. Like again, they push a narrative in here, so I'm not sure if who was wrong or what. Either way, they're calling other people enemies and sentencing people to death for doing all kinds of stuff that they just simply disagreed with, and so that part of it's dumb. From my experience, like from what I'm reading, Moses doesn't seem like he was a great guy. He seemed like he was kind of a jerk. All right. And close-minded and very simple-minded as well. Let's see. Moses intercession, which is probably why he had Aaron speak on his behalf to try to be a little more diplomatic. But even then, Aaron could have had his own agenda and claim that he's spoken on Moses' behalf. Claiming to speak on God's behalf, and it just all kinds of messages are being muddled and corrupted. A principle has been established. The principle has been established. However, even the people's apostasy need not end the relationship with God. The book ends with the cloud and the glory taking possession of the tent of meeting. The sons of Israel in Exodus 1:1 are the actual sons of Jacob, Israel, and the patriarch. But at the end of the book, they are the nation of Israel. For all the elements of nationhood and in antiquity have been granted a God and temple, a leader, a land, and an authoritative tradition. Israel remains at the Holy Mountain for almost a year. The entire block of material from Exodus 19:1 to, as in Numbers, NM 10:11, is situated at Sinai. The rituals of Leviticus and Numbers are delivered to Moses at the Holy Mountain, showing that Israel's worship was instituted by God and part of the very fabric of the people's life. Priestly material in the book of Exodus describes the basic intuitions of Israelite worship, the tabernacle, its furniture, and priestly vestments. Leviticus, aptly called in rabbinic tradition the priest's manual, lays down the role of priests to teach Israel the distinction between clean and unclean, and to see to their holiness. In Numbers or NM, is that Nehemiah or Numbers? I'm going to say Numbers. NM 10:11 to 22:1. The journey is resumed, this time from Sinai through the wilderness to Transjordan. Numbers 22-2 to 36:13 tells of events and laws in the plains of Moab. The final book of the Pentateuch, Deuteronomy, consists of 4 speeches by Moses to the people who have arrived at the plains of Moab, ready to conquer the land. Was it Moses or Aaron who spoke for him? Says Moses. It's kind of like Trump when he has people do things for him and then he takes credit for it. It's probably what Moses is doing here. It's like having other people do the work and then he just takes credit for it. I guess it was easier for people, especially back then, simple-minded people, to be able to follow one person. Even people now, like you see, like the president and stuff like that. It's like it's not just him, man. He's one fucking guy. Like it's like they got a whole entire administration of people and all the other agencies that are all working together. It's like thousands, at least thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people operating. But it's definitely easier to have one person, especially for simple-minded people, to be able to have one person that you focus on. Like this guy's doing all this stuff. I mean, yeah, does he have a lot of authority, a lot of power? But he's not absolute. It's like he doesn't have all the power in the world. It's like not this reason that we don't have dictators or kings and stuff like that. It's like we need to be able to have people put in check so he can only do so much. Does he have a lot of influence? Yeah. Like, do people use him and other people? Like, so he has more influence than your average Joe, definitely. Like, because people recognize this guy, and it's other people that are kind of have this sort of like mindset where like, okay, there's one guy, you got to appeal to him because he appeals to all these other people who are actually operating as well. And so to an extent, yes, definitely has more influence than other people, but there are other operators at play. So many more agents afoot. So just got to keep that in mind if you're capable. All right, the final book of the Pentateuch, Deuteronomy, consists of 4 speeches by Moses to the people who have arrived at the plains of Moab, ready to conquer the land. Each speech is introduced by the formula, "This is the law, words, or blessing." The priestly editor used literary formulas. The formula, "These are the generations," the wording can vary, occurs 5 times in the primordial history and 5 times in the ancestral history. Ooh. Let's just finish this paragraph and then we'll end with a prayer. In Exodus and Numbers, the formula with slight variations, they departed from place name and encamped at place name, occurs in two groups of six. A X Exodus 12:37a, 13 to 13:20, 14:1 to 2, 15:22a, 16:1, 17:1a, and B Exodus 19:2, Numbers 10:12, 21a, 22, 21:10 through 11, and 22:1. Okay, we're gonna end with a prayer now. Let's wrap this up. So I gotta get to work. Let's go. So the updated Lord's Prayer here, we have bow your heads if you like, or do whatever you like. The Lord understands your intent. Santa Claus understands your intent, or Tooth Fairy, higher power, whatever you want to call it. Our beloved Creator, who dwells among all things, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom will arrive upon the shoulders of your children. Your command will be fulfilled on earth as it is in heaven. Allow us to gratefully experience each day and each breath, the spirit of life, as an abundant feast of nourishment. Your word is truly sacred and enduring. Your blessings are the lifeblood we receive as a means to carry out your will. Please forgive us our offenses as we forgive our offenders. Have mercy upon all who vie deeply for atonement. Although we may act out of ignorance, make your divine grace known to all who desperately seek enlightenment. Do not lead us into temptation, but guide our impulses and protect us and deliver us from evil. For the entirety of creation is your domain, and we devote all power, glory, and praise to you, now and forever. Truly, kindly, and wholeheartedly I pray. Amen. Yeah, so I know that I say, I don't personally believe in God. I think I've said before, it's equally audacious to say it definitely doesn't exist, and it's equally audacious to say it definitely does exist. And so, I feel like we kind of have to find some, middle ground, a way to move forward. But the reason I do it is because I feel like in doing so, the going along with it, just rolling with it, and studying or reading the prayers and stuff like that, I almost feel like it's sort of ingrained in our minds. It's in our biology, our psychology or something like that. Throughout ages of evolution, generations and generations and generations of being taught this kind of stuff, at least religions and ideologies and philosophies will vary, but at the same time, just the simple idea that you're believing in a higher power and in a god or some sort of deities is something that explains the things that we cannot explain. I feel like that's just been so indoctrinated in throughout society and just been so ingrained in humanity that it's almost like it feels like our underlying psychology and biology have adopted that and kind of created it as sort of an extension of the survival mechanism to be able to to be able to look out for predators and be able to assume it's possibly a predator, possibly something out there that we need to be concerned with rather than nothing at all. And because if we assume that it was nothing at all, then and it actually ended up being a predator, then we would have gotten eaten. And so we have a tendency to err on the side of caution and to err on the side that something is out there rather than something's not out there. And so it's a survival mechanism that all throughout generations has kind of been more instilled and instilled further by compounded further by the idea that there is a God, and that's taught throughout society. And so not only do we have the underlying biological mechanisms, ingrained in our DNA, but also we have the society and culture and religion and those practices and traditions and scriptures and texts and stuff like that that compound on top of that, and those all aggregate or amalgamate to creating something where it's people definitely believe in gods, but is it really true? Probably not. But at the same time, is it so ingrained into our way of life and our way of thinking that just doing it anyway probably gives hope or inspiration, or almost almost like, you know how like smiling or laughing or something like that, even when you're sad or upset, kind of tricks you into believing you're happy and stuff like that. I feel like just going with it, it's so integrated into who we are that doing it probably provides hope and motivation and increases just well-being because it's in our, like, almost like, I don't know if it's like in our DNA. It's not really like a God gene, but like, and I remember researching that, but it's almost like we're sort of predisposed to believing in a higher power, and then the beliefs that society teaches on top of that kind of points it and focuses that towards like believing in a God. Or in the past it was like Zeus and Vulcan and Poseidon and Hades and stuff like that. Now it's like Yahweh and God, Jesus, whatever name you want to throw on it. It's like just different higher powers, different ways of thinking about them, and it's weird because most likely it's not true. So all of it's just, I don't want to call it bullshit, but it's just essentially it's not factual, it's not reality, it's not accurate, it's inaccurate. But at the same time, in realizing that, I also realized that it's been around for so long that it might be sort of ingrained into who we are and the way we think and the way we operate as a survival mechanism, and not only for survival, but prosperity and defending what we have. Ooh. I don't like the idea of us going to war and justifying killing other people. It's not necessary, but at the same time, they find ways to justify it because they see threats and they see it as a way of survival and maintaining prosperity. Yikes. So it's definitely things that we need to change, but it's weird and it's hard because it's going to be something that's almost like we're going to have to change something that's almost seems like it's ingrained in our nature at a fundamental level. It's almost like it's something that in order to be the most productive we possibly can be, we're going to have to move past this, or at least at the very least realize what I've been saying, and that it's like God's probably not real, but at the same time, like it does help us to, the idea of it has been ingrained in us, and so it sort of helps us in a certain sense, but we have to be able to move past that and get even like a step further than that, and be able to, put these petty little squabbles aside and be able to move forward in a more productive and intelligent way. So seek out the best solutions, not just a solution, or seek out better solutions until we get to the best solution, not just seek out a better solution and be like, all right, that was better than what we had before. And like, okay, we're good. We're done. We're not done. Like we keep on having find better and better and better and better solutions, like invest the time, the energy, the resources into finding something that is genuinely better for everyone, not just a select few. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. So already gone a little over time. Get that OT. All right. Let me go ahead and sign off for now. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bible study number 22. We're going to finish the Pentateuch there. All right. So hopefully everybody has a blessed day, great day, miraculous day. Have a magnificent day. And go out, spread some love, spread some joy, spread some happiness, tell some jokes. Give people a compliment, man. Go out there and just be good people. Even maybe do some exercises where, like a little mental exercise, where you find somebody that you really don't like, and I'm sure there's plenty of people, or even at least one person that you have in your life that you really don't like. Give them a compliment. Tell them that I don't know, it might sound corny to say that you love them, but say that, hey man, I always appreciated how you ... or hey, I always thought this was interesting about you, or something like that. And take a little time, meditate on it. You can do that, and I feel like it would actually make you feel better. And I mean, can't hurt. I mean, that person might be like, what the hell? But at the same time, like, it's better than like you saying something nasty to someone, or even if you think of saying something mean to someone, instead just like pause and think of something nice you can say, give them a compliment, find something similar that you agree on, or Find something that you do like about them and do that. And if you can't think of something good, then just save it for later. Don't say anything. Rule number one: don't be nasty. So let's go ahead and let's do it. And end it right here. 45 minutes. Boom, we're out. Oh, I went over. That's the wrong button. All right, we're out.